Breaking news. Philippine Coast Guard faces down Chinese ships in tense standoff. The world watches with bated breath as blue and white Philippine vessels glide across choppy waters. Their engines roar, slicing through the early morning mist near the Spratly Islands. Chinese Coast Guard ships, much larger and painted bright white, shadow them closely. The air is thick with tension. Each side tries to outmaneuver the other, horns blaring and radios crackling with urgent voices. Sailors stand ready on deck, their eyes fixed on the horizon. A Philippine officer grips the rail, his knuckles white. He knows the risks. One wrong move could spark a dangerous clash. On the other side, Chinese crew members watch every turn, their faces tense. The world's eyes are on this meeting point where two nations' futures seem to hang in the balance. Suddenly, a Chinese ship veers closer, blocking the Philippine vessel's path. A loudspeaker booms, demanding the Filipinos leave Chinese territory. But the Philippine captain stands firm. He replies calmly, "This is Philippine water." The standoff grows more intense, a real-life test of will and courage in the open sea. The scene is dramatic, but it is not just about two ships. It is about national pride, history, and the fight for control in one of the world's most important waterways. The stakes could not be higher for the Philippines or for the entire region. The South China Sea is more than just a body of water. It is a lifeline for the world. Each day, giant ships sail through these waters, carrying goods from one continent to another. If you bought a phone or a shirt made in Asia, it probably traveled through this sea. In fact, over a third of the world's trade passes through here. If shipping lanes are blocked, prices could rise everywhere. But there is more. Deep below the waves are rich fishing grounds. Millions of people depend on these fish for food and jobs. Under the seafloor, there may be oil and gas, valuable resources that could help any country grow and prosper. That is why so many nations want a share of the South China Sea. For the people of the Philippines, the sea is also about identity and history. Their fishermen have sailed here for generations. The reefs and islands have Filipino names. Losing control would feel like losing a piece of themselves. That is why the Spratly Islands, small as they are, mean so much. National pride is at stake. No country wants to look weak. For the Philippines, standing up in these waters shows strength and unity. It is about defending what belongs to them, and making sure their voice is heard on the world stage. When the Chinese ships appeared near the Spratlys, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. knew he had to act. The nation looked to him for leadership. He made a powerful speech, broadcast on television across the country. His message was clear: we will protect our territory. We will not be bullied. President Marcos Jr. gave new and strong orders to the Philippine Coast Guard. They were told to stand firm in the face of threats. No backing down. He called on all Filipinos to unite and support the men and women defending the nation's waters. The president's words filled the country with pride and determination. In meetings with his top advisors, Marcos Jr. made decisions quickly. He reached out to allies and prepared his team for every possible outcome. Coast Guard officers got extra training. Supplies were rushed to the front lines. The country's flag flew high on every ship. The bold response was not just about force, it was about sending a message. The Philippines would not be pushed aside. Under Marcos Jr., the nation showed the world it had the courage and the will to stand up for itself, even against a much bigger country. The Philippines knew it could not face China alone. That is why alliances matter. President Marcos Jr. picked up the phone and spoke with leaders from the United States, Japan, and Australia. Each promised to stand with the Philippines. These friendships give the country strength. When you have friends, you are not alone. International law also supports the Philippines' claims. In 2016, a court in The Hague ruled that much of the South China Sea belongs to the Philippines, not China. The ruling is like a referee's whistle in a tough game. It tells everyone what the rules are. The Philippines uses this law as a shield. When challenged, Filipino leaders point to the court's decision. Alliances are more than just promises. They bring real help, like patrols, supplies, and training. When the Philippines stands with its friends, it sends a message. We are not afraid. China sees this unity and thinks twice before making any sudden moves. International support also gives hope to ordinary Filipinos. They know their country is not fighting alone. With the law on their side and friends at their back, the Philippines faces the crisis from a position of strength. The US and the Philippines have been allies for many years. When the South China Sea crisis erupted, the alliance grew even stronger. American ships arrived to join Filipino vessels. Together, they held joint military exercises near the disputed waters. These drills were not just for show. They taught both sides how to work together in tough situations. Helicopters buzzed overhead. Soldiers practiced search and rescue missions. Ships moved in tight formations, showing skill and teamwork. The exercises sent a clear message to China. The Philippines was not alone. Any threat would be met by a united front. Local communities watched the exercises with mixed feelings. Some were nervous. After all, war was the last thing anyone wanted. But many felt proud to see their country stand tall with powerful friends. The sight of American and Filipino flags flying together gave hope to people across the islands. Every drill, every patrol, was a sign of commitment. It showed the world that alliances are more than just words. They are real, and they can change the balance of power in critical moments. As news of the standoff spread, Filipino communities felt a mix of fear and pride. In fishing villages near the Spratlys, families worried about their loved ones at sea. Some fishermen stayed home, afraid of facing Chinese ships. Others braved the waters, determined not to lose their way of life. In cities, people gathered in plazas to watch President Marcos Jr.'s speeches. Social media buzzed with support for the Coast Guard. Young people posted videos, waving flags and chanting, "Defend the Philippines!" Churches held special prayers for peace. The crisis brought people together, showing the world the strength of Filipino unity. Even those far from the coast felt the impact. School children wrote letters to sailors, thanking them for their bravery. Businesses donated food and supplies to support the mission. Across the nation, a sense of pride grew stronger. The crisis became a reminder that the Filipino spirit could not be broken. In tough times, communities discovered new strength. They learned that unity was their greatest weapon. The South China Sea crisis tested the nation, but it also brought out the best in its people. Standing up to a powerful neighbor is never easy. For the Philippines, there are real dangers. One risk is conflict. A fight at sea could put lives at risk and damage the economy. Trade might suffer. Fishermen could lose their jobs. No one wants war, but there are big rewards too. By defending its territory, the Philippines wins respect. Other nations see its courage and may choose to support it. The crisis also brings people together. National pride grows. When the country stands up for itself, it sends a powerful message to the world. Alliances make the risks smaller. With help from friends, the Philippines is less likely to face danger alone. Support from the United States and others can stop trouble before it starts. Together, they can make sure the seas stay open and peaceful. The stakes are high. But by taking smart risks, the Philippines shows it is a nation that cannot be ignored. The world now sees the country as a serious player, one that cares deeply about its future. Think of the South China Sea as a giant chessboard. Every country wants to control the best pieces. China moves its ships like powerful queens, blocking others from moving freely. The Philippines used to play defense, protecting its own corner. But now, under President Marcos Jr., the country is playing smarter. Instead of backing down, the Philippines moved its pieces, Coast Guard ships, alliances, and legal claims, into stronger positions. The United States joined the board as a key partner, making it harder for China to control the game. Each move was carefully planned. The goal was not just to survive, but to challenge China's power. China still has more ships and money, but the Philippines' smart moves changed the game. By calling on friends and using international law, it put pressure on China to rethink its plans. The world watched as the balance shifted. The lesson is clear: you do not have to be the biggest player to win. With the right moves, even a small nation can change the outcome on the world's chessboard. The South China Sea crisis showed the world what is possible when a country stands together. The Philippines faced a giant and did not back down. Courage mattered. So did unity. When people support each other, they are stronger than any ship or weapon. Smart choices made a big difference. Calling on allies and using international law turned a dangerous moment into a story of hope. The Philippines proved that even small nations can shape global events. Their voice was heard. Their actions inspired others. Every Filipino can be proud of what the country achieved. The crisis brought fear, but also pride and hope. It showed that with courage, unity, and smart strategy, anything is possible. In the end, the story of the Philippines in the South China Sea is a lesson for the world. Even when the odds seem impossible, standing up for what is right can change history. Small nations matter, and their choices can shape the future for everyone.